Now there's some deals that you can use one-day funding on with a non-FHA loan for the C buyer. We'll talk about FHA loans in a little bit, but well, if your C buyer has a loan that's not written by FHA, there's still lenders out there who are willing to do a back-to-back closing, and these are typically a conventional loan that have a large down payment associated with it, and it's usually 20% is required with a conventional loan. And the best thing that you could do is to put in your C buyer's purchase contract that they cannot finance with a loan that has any seasoning requirement, or put the word out to any real estate agents that you're working with to only bring me buyers that are approved with non-seasoning requirement loans, so that you're able to move that house over one day and do a back-to-back closing. And if you have it in your contract, when you go under contract with the C buyer, that they have to come to you with a loan that has no seasoning, then if all they can come up with is an FHA loan, then you can easily get out of that contract. So, but ideally you want to, from the start, be looking for somebody that has a conventional loan or is a cash buyer. So it's in your best interest to know which lenders in your area provide loans without seasoning requirements, because you'll encounter this situation where you've got a terrific buyer and maybe even they have a good down payment, but they are with a conventional lender that will not allow back-to-back closing. So if you do your homework and you find out who in your area will be able to get them a loan that will allow a back-to-back closing, then that'll not only make your C buyers happy, but it'll make that lender happy, and you'll be able to shoot a lot of business in their direction. Typically, these lenders will be your smaller banks or your credit unions. And what you want to do when you're doing a little bit of research about who's in your area is ask them if they, quote-unquote, portfolio their loans. And what that means to portfolio, it means that they keep their loans in-house and they don't sell them off to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And since they keep the loans, they have the power to make their own decisions about whether or not to require seasoning. So they're the ones making the decisions. They don't have to comply with some guidelines that are coming down from some higher source that will allow them to sell it out on the open market. If they're keeping the loan in-house, then they're good. So you want to try to find those types of people in your area so that you have a network set up to direct your C buyers to for their lending needs.
Hey, Sharon, I wanted to underscore something that you just said, and if you're listening keenly on the line here, hopefully you're taking copious notes, and you definitely jot down a couple times. As Sherry said, you want to identify lenders in your area that do not require a seasoning for the B&C transaction for your C buyer. And notice you said lender, 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 lender. She did not say broker. And so one of the things that trips up investors that I get coming to me and to Tammy here with District Grid, people entrust the feedback that a broker gives their C buyer, and the broker says, oh, yeah, I can do this, I can do that, and they just lip service you to get the paperwork, the loan, on their desk. And then they're always betting that they can do it from one of their many different lenders that they have relationships with. But we've seen time and time again, Sherry, just want you to comment on it, where a broker that's the financing connection or contact for the C buyer really misleads the C buyer and hence the B investor, and then can lead the transaction all the way to the altar and for it not to go through. And that's why it's so important that you listen to her and what she says. Find local lenders, direct financing sources, not a broker that is kind of window dressing and not the direct source of information, accurate or not.
Right. I mean, nothing against salespeople. I've been in sales one way or another my whole life, but they're basically salespeople who are going out and trying to sell products from a bunch of different suppliers, and they're trying to, they don't have the one-on-one relationship, or they're not anywhere making the decision makers. And a lot of times when we're doing our due diligence with these deals that come to us, when people I ask one of my things that I need from them if there is a loan involved is the lender contact information, and invariably the first thing I get is the broker contact information, or the loan officer, not the loan officer, but the broker, the person who is selling the deal to the C buyer. And I say, no, I need to talk to the underwriter. I need to talk to the one who's making the decision, because they're the ones who are going to tell me, is this going to fly? And I fully disclose at that point. And I always say, do they know this is happening? What's going on? Do they know this is part of a transaction that's being sold back to back, or that will be closing very shortly after in a multi-day deal? Because that's part of my due diligence, to make sure that I'm talking to that end decision maker, that underwriter, who's going to be able to tell me, oh yeah, we can do this. This is no problem. Not the broker. So that's a very good point, Andre. I'm glad you brought that up. That a lot of people don't realize there's that distinction between the two. So, but anyway, so as far as what about multi-day funding? This, talking about changing and adapting to your market. When I started my business, it's pretty clear from the name, one-day funding, that the plan was one-day funding. But it has evolved over time, and particularly, in the last few months, that, I get so many calls from people. Everybody wants a loan that's more than a day, and why? Why are they doing that? Why are they wanting one for more than a day? And it's because there's just so many dang restrictions that and hoops you have to jump through in order to have these deals work. And I almost consider it un-American the way these things are put up, these barriers, these obstacles that investors are continually having to work around and jump over to be able to get these deals done and get these homes off of the vacant market and back into being productive houses in our communities. And it just seems crazy to me how it's so difficult sometimes just to get these houses sold, even if it's the intermediary of the investor, to get it into the end hands of the ultimate buyer and having communities that are good and productive.